Welcome to For the Fans. We're here to talk about the Challenge All-Stars Season 2, the final. We're a little off on the scheduling. We're sorry. Our schedule is messier than Fessy. But exciting news. We have Anthony here for the first time, our newest member of the Challenge team. And then we have Kiley, as always. Old news. But how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me for my initial time. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, I knew we've been wanting to expand the team, and when I watch your Snapchat, I don't really use Snapchat. There's like 2 chats that I'm in on Snapchat, but whenever your stuff was on there, I was like, this guy is so entertaining. I could listen to him sing all day long. Let's get him on the show, and it worked out. So I'm excited. But we'll jump into the final. It kind of had 3 parts to it. We had the first night. We'll start out talking about that. I was a big fan of this. I love it where before the final gets started, let's not let them sleep all night because sleep deprivation and puzzles are the best mix. So how do you guys feel about how the challenge started?
Yeah, I love that they started that off like not on the, not after they've already competed for a whole night, but like, hey, we're just going to start you off super tired. So I kind of like that as a different spin on it.
Yeah, I actually really like that too. I did feel a little bit bad for the people who were just in the elimination, being Darrell and Janelle, because I felt like if anybody was at a disadvantage, it would definitely be them because they just exerted energy. Thankfully, I think if anybody in the final could have handled that, it was them. But
yeah, definitely. We talked last time about who we thought was going to do well, and Darrell. That was where I was putting my money on because, I mean, he's only not won one final that he's been in, right?
Yeah, so. Last All-Stars.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to run away with it, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I liked how it started off, and then TJ comes in, brings everybody some clothes, and is like, let's do this. It's going to be 2 phases, and you better not be last on phase 1. Phase 1, it was kind of set up. They had the nucleus where they had to go down the black path and get to the nucleus where they had 3 choices of which checkpoint they wanted to do first, and then follow that path and complete the task. I was curious, like, before we get into Melissa and or not Melissa,
Melinda
and Nehemiah, their little detour. If you're at that nucleus and you got to pick, which one are you going to first?
God bless it. Like probably the bag. Just get that shit over with. That one looked really, really hard.
I think I would have went with the memory because I forget which team said it, but they were basically like, hey, well, we still have the brain for the memory, get it out of the way because as that fatigue sets in, it's easier to convince yourself that you can keep running versus like have your mind right. So I think I would have tried to get the memory out of the way first.
Yeah, I definitely have been in situations where my brain is just like mush, and I definitely would have went memory first because that one I felt was one that you could really make up a lot of time because you get one wrong, you got to run all the way back. It wasn't like you had a couple mulligans you could take. You had to get it 100% accurate, and that was a big board, so I agree. I would have went there. Then I probably would have went for the bikes after that, take a little break, and I would go into a cave at night because I feel like, why not? You're going to be in the dark anyways. But it kind of kicks off. We see a big mishap. They're running down a black path, and then they're like, maybe the blue. And then the big shock to me was who took the early lead. We had Tech and Ayana get to the nucleus first. What was your reaction? I was shocked.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like with Melinda and Nehemiah taking their little detour, I was like, oh, they're done. Like, there's no way they're coming back from this. They went so far off the path, they added like 4 miles to it. You know what I mean? And then they had to go back and then get whichever one that they ended up going to do it. But I mean, I was like, there's no way they cannot come back from this. This is such a big setback. And so I was super impressed that, they obviously got themselves back into it, and really shocked that Ayana and Tech take the early lead.
Yeah, I'm pretty much sharing the same sentiments. I would not have pegged them to be the first team to get there and get, the actual like crux and meat and potatoes of the final started with them. I would have thought it would have been basically any other team. And like you said, I thought that Nehemiah and Melinda were going to be at such a deficit that they would have been almost guaranteed to be knocked out, and they just came and just whipped butt to get back into it, because I'm pretty sure they came in first for that
Yeah,
day,
they
right?
won it.
Or for the first part.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
phase
so
won it.
so that was very impressive, and I think that was very telling of their power. That they work very well together, and that they are both good competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they chose to do the bikes first. We had two teams actually choose the bike first. We had uh, a little road rage going on too, which I thought was probably the
Loved
most
that.
fun. That was the funnest part, I think, of this final, was to see Ayana be like, no, you're gonna have to earn it.
That's what you should do, though. I mean, like, I'm not gonna just scoot to the side and let you just go past me. Like, sorry.
What-
Especially a team that strong.
Yeah.
You're
Like,
literally going to hand them an advantage.
exactly. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you would see from like Bananas or CT. Like, no, you got to earn it. And so I am 100% on board with her doing that. Like,
Yeah.
boss bitch move.
Another question: what are you doing if you're Darrell in that scenario and someone's cutting you off? Because I'm gonna grab like a branch and I'm just shoving it through the spokes on their tire.
Honestly, if you are throwing out there that you're going to play a little bit dirty and keep me out of it, I'm going to try to do something equally as dirty to get you out of my way. I'm not going to try to injure you per se. I do like the stick move, because you could just have them, kind of fall over. But yeah, you have to keep it fair. If you're going to play dirty, you've got to expect that I'm going to do my best to get you out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have just like sat back and been like, okay, we're not going to get to pass them until we get back to the nucleus. But then, yeah, if there's a chance along the way where we can, repay it, it's coming back at you, obviously. We've seen that in so many finals where they've gotten to hand out a penalty or something. And so I would have been like, yep, that's coming at y'all.
Yep.
Because I'm petty.
Yeah, it's got to keep it petty. That's what we love about the show. We saw MJ and Jonna come in third to the nucleus. They decided to go the cave route. I thought it was a cool choice, because then we see Melinda and Nehemiah like seeing another team for the first time after they were off course. You see a little panic in their eyes when they see that. They're like, shit, we're behind. But I think if any team out of all four of them are behind, that's the team that can make up the most ground. And we see that, but I got a little nervous because we see Melinda take a little tumble, and I'm like, oh shit, this is it.
Yeah.
The other three teams are moving on right then when that happened. Did you guys also have many heart attack? Because I know, Kiley, you were rooting for them big
Yeah,
time.
I was rooting for Melinda. Like, I mean, I feel so proud of her because of just everything she overcame during the season. Like, I can't imagine the emotion that she had, like, being there when she should have been having a baby. And then, they get to the final and she gets to be there with, who she starts real world with, like truly her brother. And, the emotion of that. And then, they start off so badly and they're trying to battle their way back. And then she sprains her ankle. It's like every single thing went against them. And so I was like, no, because I was worried that they were not going to finish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. I thought they were going to be down for the count after that. Especially, I don't think that a lot of competitors, overall, man, woman, whatever, I don't think many competitors have a good track record of not using their injury to quit or to allow themselves to come in fourth or 20th or whatever the case may be. You see a lot of times where somebody will fall and they might get like a little scrape on their knee and they'll be like, oh, I can't go on. I can't do it. And you're like, come on, I know you can. Whereas Melinda was like, I got no quit. I'm effed up right now, but I'm going. Like, no, this is my brother. Like you said, that is literally her brother of, probably 15 years by this point or so from Austin. And, they've known each other a long time. It would be very hard for her to give up on him and herself because I think, like you said, with so much going against her, she wanted to prove a lot to herself.
Yeah, I loved it for her. And so, And I think that's also the thing that draws you in about All Stars compared to the regular challenge is that these people want it so badly, and that a lot of them do feel like they have to prove it to themselves or to their friends or family or whatever. They kind of feel like they've got like this burden on them that they have to prove that they belong there. And so I think Melinda kind of had that where she felt like I've got something to prove. Like even if we don't win, but I just want to prove who I am. And
Yeah.
she did.
Yeah, I think another aspect is like these people are older. When you're out, it's like when you're playing on a team your freshman year. It's not, I mean, it's cool you're there, but when you're playing your senior year, you're like, this could be the last game that I ever play. Like, so every moment I feel like is just more special, and you're going to leave it all out on the court. Who was someone was saying that a lot on that last season, leaving it all out on the court. I remember someone saying that a lot, but yeah, leave it all out on the court. Danny from Survivor, he kept saying that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I do like seeing about these older players coming back and kind of, because I know I'm personally like I'm not to their age yet, but I'm getting close there, and like I'm in that stage where I'm like, I still got a little left in the tank. I need to maybe not sit on the couch and watch Netflix. I need to get out and run some, train a little. And I think a lot of these people are doing it, and we're seeing it pay off with some of them. So,
and I think somebody like Melinda too. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go
just
ahead.
Real quick, I was going to say somebody like Melinda who, and I've said this to her. She is a sweetheart. I told her that she, as she knows, was not the greatest competitor back in the day. She never really won challenges. She never won an elimination. She never made a final. She never really made a super big impact as a competitor. So for her, because I will give her, she is a real world all-star. She is one of the most memorable people from the real world that people instantly recognize. She was, just an infectious personality. But as far as her challenge career, this is one that she's going to leave her mark from All Stars. She didn't leave her mark as a great competitor back then. So for her to come back all these years later and do as well as she did, I don't think she could have asked for a better, reintroduction to the challenge world. And I hope we do see her again on future seasons.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we definitely will. And let's hope we get a real world reunion season from her from that season. I think Austin. I'd love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's like a top season for me. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like top 2, 3.
But it's going to be hard for them to get a reunion, obviously, because they want the whole cast and, a divorce there. It's a little bit difficult.
There's some
2 divorces, right? It's 2 divorces,
a divorce
right?
and an engagement breakup.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if they officially tied a knot ever, but they had a house together, so.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit difficult, I feel like, to get that reunion, but it's the one that I want.
Yeah. There for a while in phase 1, I was like for the longest time I knew who was in the lead. It got a little fuzzy there who was in the lead because these different checkpoints take different amounts of time to complete, and for me as a viewer that was a little hard to follow along with, but all in all pretty smooth final to follow, except for that little part in the middle.
I loved how freaking hard it was. Like you could tell that they were dead. Like it looked so freaking hot out there. Like when they show TJ and he's sweating and all of the running and walking and the bike riding, like you could just tell it was a really hard ass final. And I love that. I want it to be difficult.
And I think you brought up a really good point, Frank, that I like when there are different pieces to a final. Like, it's obviously one thing to have everybody running laterally, and you can tell exactly who's in the lead at what point. But as a viewer, like you said, at points, it was difficult to tell who was where. As a competitor, I would love that. I would love nothing more than to be like, you know what, they finished that one, but I know for a fact that's the easiest one, and I just finished the hardest one. I'm still in this, so I like when they're not all doing the same thing because it does keep you a little jumbled and guessing like, oh, wait, like, yeah, we just saw Nehemiah and Melinda complete 2. And then it's like, oh, wait, but that's a different 2 than the other team completed. And we saw how long that one took. So I think now they're going to jump ahead. So it kind of gave you a little bit of excitement rather than just watching everybody and being like, oh, well, these so-and-so are back 50 million feet. These people are back, another year and a half. So I really like that excitement part to it.
See, as a player, I feel like that would give me anxiety. Like, I'd be like, oh my God, am I in the lead? I like to be able to either look like I got to catch them or I got to keep this person behind me. Like, so I can be Ayana and be like, no, not today.
Right.
Try my best. Please don't
But
happen.
yeah, Nehemiah and Melinda pull off like a huge comeback and they end up finishing phase one first. Janelle and Darrell come in second, and then sadly we see Tech and Ayana. They finally were like, you know what, we just can't do it. So that meant MJ and Johanna went on to. Did they finish? That's my.
They didn't have to finish. So like when Tech and Ayana quit, they automatically got to move on. And I mean, that was shocking because obviously like MJ and John A had dominated the whole season. You know, they're the only team that didn't have to go into an elimination, and for them to have been that close. And I mean, you know, like I think Tech and Ayana were still in it. I mean, you know, they were on the exact same thing. So I mean, it kind of just comes down to memory. Like if they can memorize it a little bit better than them, like, you know, it wasn't a sure thing that they were going to move on. And so, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where my disappointment came in, is that I think they were really still in it. Having them believe, or I shouldn't even say them, it seemed more like Ayana, didn't believe that she had enough in the tank to get that third place in the first part finish, when I really think they did, because I think from what we've seen in the past, it seems that Janae seems to be the one to get most frazzled the easiest out of anybody. So I think had she seen Ayana and Tech keep going and going and getting further and further, I think she kind of would have maybe crumbled under the pressure.
Yeah, and I think that most of the pressure was on her for that. Like, you know, MJ's the brawn, she's the brains, and so
Yep.
you know, if she gets a little frazzled, like they're screwed because MJ was like, "I'm no help here. Good luck."
Yeah, I wish they still would have had to finish even after having a team
Yeah, me
quit.
too.
Because, like, in the old days, TJ would have been like, I forget who it was. They were drinking blood, and he's like, no, you have to finish. Like, if you don't finish, you don't move on. So,
Yeah,
plus,
like I think that
you're
would have been
also going to
good,
be,
like to gas them out a little bit more. Like we all had to finish,
yeah,
so you should have to finish too.
exactly. Because then that's also going to slow down your brain function a little bit. Every step you take, it's going to slow you down mentally a little bit. And which, going into phase two, brain power is something you really need. But before we get to the brains part of phase two, my favorite part of this was the fiesta they had with all the disgusting stuff. There was a little controversy watching this for me. I don't know how you guys felt, but I would have been throwing like a yellow card. I think that's the expression in soccer. You throw a yellow card to give somebody a warning. MJ was like, yeah, I get it. To me, it needs to go down and then come back up. And I felt like he was filling his mouth right before he was about to throw up. So not everything was going down. And then we see other players like dropping shit on the ground, picking it up. That was Melinda, right? Put it back in her mouth after it was on the ground. So how did you guys feel the same way watching it as I did? That MJ was kind of not being held to the same standards as everyone else?
Yeah, and that's actually a complaint I've had about a lot of the eating challenges in the past, including this one. I really think that there needs to be some sort of implementation of a rule of what constitute, like, this is going to sound weird, but like a legal throw up versus did they really just kind of chew everything up and make it look liquefied? Because I do think that that is an advantage in many ways, because if you actually get it down and then you throw it up, you're getting dehydrated, you're getting rid of extra energy that you did have, whereas if he's just kind of being like, bleh, and just spitting it right back out, he's not getting those I guess, negative aspects of throwing up that you would normally get in a final.
And they are negative, like, for sure. Like, your muscles, like, everything hurts.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, there's pain, there's dehydration, there's things like that. And I think, like you said, you pointed out that Melinda, picked it right up off the ground. And I did hear that she said that was something that she was basically told, like, you have to get it down. So that's why, because she's like, looking back on it, that's effing gross. Like, I would never really do that in my right frame of mind. She's like, but they told me I had to get it down. So she's like, I picked it right off the ground, and I was like, you are a champ, girl.
Yeah.
It just came to me, an idea to help fix the problem. Just get a bathtub for each person, and whatever goes through the drain, the little grate, can go through the drain. If it can't go through there, you have to scoop it up and back in the mouth.
I thought you were just going to say, just like make them throw up in a bucket, and then they just have to throw up.
I'm not. I'm evil, but I'm not going to take it to that level. But I think the solids, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Then you get the liquids out, the bile would wash down, and then you got those nice solids to go back in.
Yeah,
it's extremely heinous, but it's genius.
Yeah,
I like it.
Maybe give them less food, but make them go through that.
The worst, though.
Yeah.
I mean, so like, I had a stomach virus over Christmas, and like, I felt like I had been in a fight. So I mean, like I would be trying.
We lost her again.
Oh no!
But yeah, doing the water challenge that I did, that was another one that you puke a lot on. Definitely what sucks the most is, even if you finish that station and you leave first, you can't celebrate it like you normally would, because you're still recovering from like feeling like a piece of shit because you're covered in snot and vomit. You feel disgusting, and I'm a firm believer, if you look good, you feel good. So being covered in a beard full of puke, I've been there a couple times, and it would be hard mentally to carry on like that.
That's rough.
Any other things you guys want to talk about the food part of this? Anything else stand out to you besides eating off the ground and MJ spitting everything out?
Yeah, I don't know. I think other than that, it was a pretty straightforward, food mission. It's not the worst one we've seen. It's not the easiest one we've seen. I think it falls somewhere right in the middle. I think the worst still, though, is was it Double Agents, where they literally had to drink like the glasses of blood?
Yeah, it was like congealed
blood.
That
to me would be nastier than eating like bull's balls or some animal's butthole. Like, not the blood. There's so much stuff that carries in that blood, I feel like, which I'm sure they tested it or cleaned it or whatever the case may be, but there's something about that blood, and that, nope, that would be it for me.
You know who I do want to see drink blood? Emmanuel. I want Emmanuel to get the opportunity to drink blood.
I feel like he'd live for it.
Yeah. Be like, can I finish yours?
Right.
Let me drink it. Let me drink all the blood.
Yeah, I do feel like you can put anything in a burrito with some guac, and I will eat it.
Those nachos didn't look bad. Like, the chips with the guac, I was like, that's not terrible. Some crickets on it, like, no big deal.
Yeah, because I feel like as long as you don't think about it and look at it, you could convince yourself it's like something that goes in a burrito. I mean, if Chipotle scoops it on there, I would eat it probably and pay for it. I'd probably pay extra. Be like, crickets, $1.50? Well, I guess if they're charging for it, I guess it's good.
Yeah, like $2 to get the guacamole with crickets in it? Yes.
And I think that's another good point, though, is that, a lot of people think that the food portion is that, it's gross food, but a lot of it is mental. I forget which one, was it probably John A., because I know MJ was puking a lot. She's like, as long as I don't, look at him or pay attention to him, I'm good. I can keep it down, because I think it is a lot of mental stuff, because if you think about it, I don't think there's a ton of food that tastes absolutely horrid that, you couldn't at least get down. I think it's usually a texture thing or a mental thing with food where you feel really disturbed by it. So I think that's a really good point that you made about, just having your head, don't pay attention to what it is. Don't read the sign of what it is. Just take a bite of it and blah, 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 take it down and move on.
Yeah, I do think that 50% of the people that are eating the nasty stuff, if it wasn't such large quantities, they probably wouldn't be puking. But I think some people are puking strategically, I can't run with 10 pounds of food in me. I gotta puke. So, and that's what MTV wants. I mean, the goal of the food challenge is to get a bunch of shots of everyone puking. I feel like that's
a great
the
visual.
reason they do it.
I mean, it's gross, but it's a great visual.
Yeah.
It's a great form of torture for TJ to implement. So, the second part of phase 2 is they have these math equations that I'm not a math wizard, but I love this type of math where you get pictures Because, like, even when I read books, I love the ones with the pictures. So math with pictures is awesome, too. So what do you guys think about this? Is this something you would have felt comfortable doing?
So like notoriously, I'm kind
You cut out again, and I really want to know the answer to this. Notoriously, Kylie
I know,
is...
right?
I know y'all, like we got storms in the area, so my service is like in and out. I apologize. I'm notoriously bad at math, so no, not for me.
Yeah.
See, I run the opposite way. I am very good at math, and I am very good at that picture math. I actually do stuff like that as like a brain exercise. I like to keep my brain fresh, and so I'll buy books of like puzzles and different brain teasers, things like that. And that is one that I love doing, is that picture math. So while they were doing it, I wasn't even pausing it, and I'm like, okay, I could probably figure out that pretty easy. I know obviously the elements don't help them with their their brain energy, whereas I'm sitting on my big butt on my couch, watching it, eating some ice cream or some shit probably. But if I was deprived of both sleep and energy, and now I just threw up my reserves, then I'm probably not going to do as great as I would think I would. But some of them kind of seemed a little slow, if you will. Like where they're just like, I don't understand what we're even doing here. I don't know what they mean by this is a number, and I'm like,
Bless him.
Yeah.
What about you though, Frank?
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of you guys. I am good at math, but it happens to me all the time. I'm like, okay, how do you do that problem? And then I'll have to Google how I do those math problems, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's how you do it, and then I can do it fine. But sometimes I need a jump start on what kind of math I'm doing. But picture math, love it. I would have felt really comfortable there, but where I would have hit a wall, and I probably just would have sat down and cried, is the combination. When they finish the math problem and they get to these safes, because this is something I struggle with a full belly, 8 hours of sleep. Like at work, I work with Amazon, and we're inside of a different building that's not an Amazon building, so we lock up our popsicles because we don't want everybody eating our popsicles. And every time I had to get a popsicle, I'd have to come get one of the associates to help me get in there, because I would just sit there for 20 minutes struggling with the combination lock, and the numbers are written on my hand, so I would have been at a big disadvantage getting with those locks. I don't know about you guys. It's probably because I was homeschooled, so I didn't have a locker with the combination lock, so thanks, Mom and Dad, for setting me back. I would have lost $500,000.
Trust me, it doesn't matter. You can go to public school your whole life and still be a flop at combinations, because me right here, that would have been my struggle point too. I would have been good with the math, the memory, the running, everything like that. As soon as I get to that lock, because I don't know what it is, if I'm trying to do it too quick and I always overshoot the number, or if I don't clear it correctly first, or what the case may be, but lock would be the death of me. I would have been sitting there and with Tech and Iona.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that so many of them didn't read the directions of like, okay, we got to go past the number first or whatever it was. And I think that that's such a big thing. Like, they've been through this terribly exhausting day, and it's just this one tiny detail that you're missing. And so, like, I know that there was a lot of controversy that's like come out about that specific part, and that none of them were getting it. Like, they were all three there. They all had the same numbers. And finally they were like, okay, it's broken. Like, John A. and MJ, like, go get on the airplane. And then they like called them back, and they were like, oh, just kidding, it's not broken. And so it's like, oh.
Yeah, that would have been awkward, and that's hard. Being on production, you have to make those judgment calls, but I mean, I could understand if they hadn't had the instructions right there, then I would have been like, shit, no one's going to get in these safes. But, like, all they had to do is, like, step back, take a breather, read. Reading, probably after all the shit they've been through, probably really hard. Reading, for me, normally is hard, so I can feel for them, but that would be weird. That would kind of take some of the wind out of my sails if I wasn't the team that just got called forward to win. I'd be like, well, shit, we just lost, and then have to step back into the game. That would be weird for me. I'd be a little salty as well.
Yeah, agreed.
So are y'all satisfied with Jonna and MJ as the winners?
I'm not unsatisfied.
Agreed.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I feel like all the teams that made it to that phase 3 were deserving winners. I think they all showed up this season. My favorite didn't win, but I'm not.
I kind of feel like I had like one person from each of the 3 remaining duos that I was really rooting for. So like if they could have like been in different combinations, I would have been really happy. Like I'm really happy for Jonna. Nothing against MJ, but like I just feel like Jonna plays the shit out of the game. You know, like she's so social, she's so strategic, she's just stepped up her game physically. So really happy for her. You know, obviously
mentally,
I'm a big Melinda fan.
She's just grown as a person right in front of all of our eyes, because we saw her when she was in her younger 20s, like trying to figure out herself and deal with asshole guys, and now she's like this strong, independent woman, kicking ass and going to finals.
Right.
So I was super impressed. I'm happy she won. MJ's never been somebody that I'm like, I love him. Like, he's either been there or not there for me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that too. Like there was kind of one person on each team that I felt a stronger pull towards than the other. And it's funny because I think it was maybe like 2 days before the final, there was, a thread online that was, who do you want to see win? Which team do you want to see win? And I was like, is there any way that like Melinda and Darrell can win together? Because, that's kind of what I want to see at this point. And of course that couldn't and didn't happen. But, overall, I can't say nobody that was in that final didn't deserve it. Like you said, I think everybody had their power plays that got them there, whether it was, their strategy or their friendships or their physical game. There's people that made the final, like an Ayana, who went into multiple eliminations. I think even Melinda and Nehemiah, I think both went into multiple eliminations, which I do tend to gravitate a little bit towards those people as well, that really earn it, just like we just saw Emmy go, 4-0 in eliminations in her rookie season. We haven't seen something like that since, Wes and Casey and Sarah Grayson, who, did 5-0 in a single season. So I do love, when we get, an elimination beast that makes the final and then takes it home with the win. So I wouldn't have minded seeing somebody that was a multi-elimination winner win. But, that is part of the game as well. I mean, we just saw as well that CT, has won 2 seasons in a row without going into elimination, and who was it? Casey didn't even go into elimination until the one, where everyone boo-hooed with her and Nani in the final. And that, elimination. Right, exactly. So it's like basically, the winners didn't go into elimination, which, I mean, I understand people did have a problem, as well as I did, had a problem with the red and gold skull setups, because they weren't perfect, but I think there was something to that. They just needed to be tweaked.
Yeah, I'm mixed emotions on that, because I like both. I like seeing seasons where you have to earn it. I like seeing seasons where you don't want to go in. It's cool to see those different dynamics. And I feel like if you can get to the end without going in, then you're either a master strategist or people are scared to death of you. I think CT is. Which
is a strategy. It really is. It's part of a game, and I do respect that as well. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more when people skated by with no elimination, when it wasn't so much of like a group think and like big clusters of alliances. I like seeing somebody just really crush the game where, hey, we don't mess with each other off camera, but we're going to be the ones to bring each other to the end. Let's do this. And they never go in. Things like that, where it's like, oh, we just, went on, we saw a picture online earlier of however many of them, 4 or 5 of them on a boat together. And I'm like, well, there's your alliance again for next season. So I'm kind of like, this is why people aren't working out on the off season, because they've got the numbers going into it months in advance. So.
Yeah. But
yeah.
We don't want
just
that.
Stop casting a bunch of Big Brother people together.
Yeah.
I think that's what our problem is, if I'm reading between the lines.
Casey, Nani, Anissa, and Tori. and those were 5 of the people on the boat.
Yep.
Devin, you can come back, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think you should be able to come into the game in like a couples. I think if you're Facebook official, you don't cast them together. I think if they come together on the season, that's what we want. But we don't want people coming in together. Maybe if you break up, then you come back for exes. Like that's
Right.
how it works. I do not want to see, because I mean we've seen it in the past. Melinda and Brad, like not Brad,
Danny.
Danny. Whew,
But then,
man,
but also
names.
Brad and
and
Corey.
Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I don't like seeing them come into the house together. It's boring for me.
Unless the format makes it so that you really cannot protect each other,
Yeah.
then it is what it is. Because one of the first, duos that ever came along was, I'm going to throw this way back to the original Battle of the Seasons, where Chadwick and Holly were a married couple. But what did he last till like second or third, episode? Because people were like, hey, you're the one who made the dirty rules. Now you're outside of the inner circle. You're out. Like, she couldn't protect you. She's only one vote. So when it's something like that where you think you're on this power trip and you're going to skate by and people pull the rug from under you, cool. But if it's something where, you're 2 votes out of 4 or 5 people, and it's easier for people to jump in with you and not stir any trouble up or rock the boat, it's become very, very groupthink lately.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But what we can talk about real quickly before we got 15 more minutes before Kiley has to go. Speaking of seeing people in the future, season 3 All Stars looks super intense. Like the cast is scary, and they're like, for people that old, they're very, very scary. I think it's going to be a whole new level of competition that we haven't seen on All Stars, and I don't even think we've seen it in the regular seasons in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to like get into spoilers in terms of like who wins, but we will definitely talk about the cast, even though it hasn't been officially dropped. But especially the men, like it's so freaking stacked. So like, you've got Jordan, Mark, Brad, Darrell, MJ's back.
Derek's
trying to
back.
think.
Yeah,
Huh?
Derek.
Yeah, Derek. Like,
LT.
But even like, there's a couple people who you might not have seen as like big threats, like an LT or like a Cyrus, that really prove themselves with All Stars. They're kind of like another Melinda, where they didn't have the best track record back in the day necessarily. I mean, Cyrus was a champ and he performed well, but he was always underrated. I felt like Letarian didn't really live up to his stature and things like that. But they both came back and had really good performances.
yeah, LT's killed it and all
And so even they now are competing at that level with these guys, I feel like. And I think we do have the most stacked male cast that we've had. Probably, I want to say the one that came to mind earlier when I was thinking about it was either Duel or Duel 2. One of them had just like no scrubs at all, and I think that's really nice to see. The women, there's a few either people that don't have great track records or that we just haven't seen in a while. I think there's some good surprises, like you said, since we are talking about the cast, because I don't even know spoilers, so I couldn't spoil it if I wanted to. But I'm so excited to see like Ronnie back, because she was an early kind of elite woman. She was one of the first 2 with Veronica that had won 2.
And Veronica is coming back also.
The
And
winner,
I
I think
see
the
her.
winner from the very, I don't remember her name, but the winner from the very first Road
Cynthia.
Rules is good. Yeah. Yes, Cynthia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Super
so I'm
cool.
excited to see what she's got. It's been a long time since not even just seeing her on TV, but hearing from her. She doesn't seem to have much of like an online presence, as much as some of these other people coming back did before they were cast again. Because a lot of people caught wind of this, and we heard rumblings of them, and then they were cast. Whereas I feel like Cynthia, we didn't hear a peep from, and then all of a sudden, oh, she's back from 20 years ago, But yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Out of the cast, who's your favorites coming back? Who are you most excited to see?
I'm really, really excited. Not that they're that old, but I'm really excited to see Naya and Jordan on the same season. And to see
I
Naya,
didn't
because,
even
it's been a
make
while.
that. I didn't even connect the dots until you just said that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Those
that'll be
are
good. It'll be interesting to see how she comes in. Is she
Yeah.
gonna come in hot? Is because it's
Yeah,
one
because
thing
like
to
now
be
she's got
online
a
and it seems
career.
like she's calmed down. But when you get put in these pressure cooker situations, like, is she gonna be, her old self again? So yeah, I'm excited for them too.
Yeah, I would have to say Jordan. I think Jordan, I love what he brings to the show, the character he is. I love that. I mean, if he was a little more humble, he'd be like this very inspirational hero. And I think he still is, like somebody with a disability like that can come in and compete on the level that he competes. So
Yeah.
impressive. And then one of my all-time favorites, Wes, my favorite ginger
Oh
of
yeah,
all
West
time.
Virginia.
And
West, like
those are two
so
people that I
ridiculous.
do like watch their Instagram and stuff, and they've been still staying on top of
West is
conditioning. So
shredded. So I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
but the
he
guy's
kicked back
side
into
is
shape.
yeah, the guy's side is so ridiculously stacked. Yes is back. I
yes,
mean,
yeah.
there's no bad guys on there, and it's like damn.
I forgot Yes was coming back, which will be very interesting because I think he was underrated on season one.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see all these big, bulky previous champs that are on here, and again, the women's side on both seasons didn't have a lot of female champs, whereas the guys' side has a lot of their champs come back. Which I believe Yes was a champ though from obviously like way, way, way back.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw that he has the longest stretch between wins with like 21 years or something like that. But yeah, so like I'm definitely excited to see him. I didn't even really answer your question because I got excited when she said Nia and Jordan. But of course, my favorites are I always rep Road Rules Campus Crawl. So even though we have seen them on the past two seasons, Kendall is my girl. She's like a real life friend as well. So I'm kind of biased there. But and then Darrell is just always been my favorite male competitor of all time, as well as Derek is another one. But I think for like fresh faces that I'm looking forward to, absolutely, like I said, Ronnie, I'm excited to see again. And then, yeah, I'm kind of excited to see, I guess, the newer school people, which is weird to say, like with a Jordan and even like a Kayla. I'm excited to see how she kind of fits in with the old school women. I don't know how it's going to work because she's only been on in the new school where the whole just vibe is different. It was, you could tell from season 1 to season 2 even, where they moved the net just a little bit further, just how the game progressed from season 1 to 2 of All Stars. So I think 3 is just going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I'm not a big fan of Kayla, never have been, probably never will be, but like as far as she's got youth on her side in this house, I think she's one of the younger people, but
Yeah,
one of the
by a long stretch.
Kylie's one of her all-time favorites. I think is somebody that I'm expecting to do well. Kellyanne. I think
Oh yeah, I love
she's.
Kellyanne.
I like seeing her come back, so super excited for that. And I really would like to see. I think that Jordan's somebody that I see winning, but Derek, I would love to see him have another moment before he's like hangs it all up and is done. Because I do feel like Derek and Darrell days are limited. Like I don't know why I feel that way, but I just feel that way, and I'm not ready for that version of my life to exist without them. So I'd like to
Right.
see them each get another dub.
I agree with that.
That pretty much wraps it all up. We can give out a couple awards. We haven't done awards in a while because our schedule's been off and we kind of got out of a steady rhythm. But let's do Entertainment Gold Award. Out of the whole season, who was your Entertainment Gold? I think we're probably all got the same name in mind.
Ayana.
Yes. I was
Yes.
like, is there? Yeah. Oh my God,
Yes.
she delivered in every aspect you could want.
Yeah.
Like, she, the best word for her is polarizing. She is love her, hate her, think she's. I had never seen, because I know you guys know that I'm an admin on one of the pages. I have never seen so many, yay, we love her, she's so inspirational posts for a person, followed directly the next week by who the F is she? We hate her. She's mean. She's nasty. She treated Sophia like crap. And I was like, she's doing exactly what
Right.
she should be doing. She's
Yeah.
amazing. And then, I mean, do we even have to talk with? I'll bleep myself because I don't know what the vibe is exactly with what you
No,
guys are
you
trying to do,
can say whatever you want
You
here.
can have
I was gonna say it's a Greek motherfucking salad.
Yeah.
It's just the the whole Greek salad thing from her cleaning up and just like it being a little strange that like she was kind of cleaning up like that anyway and getting into a fight through the final moment where I ate your salad and it was good. And it's just like
I didn't use a fork.
yeah, like could you have asked for anything better than that? Like it was so jarring and just so unexpected, but at the same time, how could you not laugh? But also have your jaw drop?
Yeah.
To me, that's the most rational, insane way to deal with it. We see people lose their minds over food, like completely meltdown and fist fight. Pizza turns into crazy shit. So then you have somebody that like is probably overreacting a little bit about a salad, and then to just handle it with such humor, I saw that as grace. So I loved it, every minute of it. And yeah, I all agree, it's entertainment gold. Ayana, who's our season MVP? That's going to be a little tougher.
That is tough.
So mine might not be the popular answer because I think, based on what I've been reading online and everything like that, that there does seem to be a popular answer. But my season MVP, just because it was like a started from the bottom, now we're here moment, was Melinda. Yeah. I really think her turnaround was the most drastic, and for her to, again, like I said earlier, to go from somebody who wasn't really feared as a competitor, wasn't really ever taken seriously as a competitor, for her to come back and kick butt in multiple challenges and win multiple eliminations and do so well in the final with an injury as well. I think she just had pretty much the biggest come up because I know a lot of people were saying Janae would be the MVP, which I think she's performed great, but I've never doubted her as a competitor. I always thought she had that. And maybe that's because she was, I don't know if you guys know, she was on that show a long time ago, Endurance, when she was a teen. So she had that background. Like, I feel like we always knew that she had that competitor in her, whereas, like, Melinda just never got the chance to show that within her and just absolutely knocked it out of the park. So she's mine.
Yeah, I was kind of tossing it up in my mind between the two of them. Like, I think that it's definitely between Melinda and Janae. Like, Janae played basically a flawless game, and so you got to give her props for that. Like, no doubt she freaking killed it. But, like, I just connected with Melinda. Like, I already liked her so much. I was excited to see her back, but then just the things that she overcame, just, I kind of feel like I'd give her my MVP too.
So I would say MVP wise, if it's a solo person, I think Janae did. I don't think MJ wins without her.
Right.
That's why I would give it to her. If I'm giving it to a team, though, Melinda and Nehemiah. I think Nehemiah impressed me. I've never been a Nehemiah fan, really, but he impressed me he just played the social politics of the game. Although he had sloppy moments, he did a really good job of managing the relationships that he did have in the house to protect him, which is something you really don't see out of him. And then you guys said everything I agree with on Melinda. So if I'm giving it to a team, it'd be them, like the MVP team, and then Janae would be my solo.
Yeah.
Nice, I like that.
But yeah, that's all the awards I got. We also do like Rookie of the Week, but with All Stars that doesn't work. So. But do you guys have anything happening that you want to plug? Anything going on?
No, we have a few week break here where we're not going to have any content really coming out, but we will be back at the beginning of February with Celebrity Big Brother coverage. We, of course, will have our draft. That's always, a fun little cluster.
Yes, and I got third on All Stars. I finally got in that money. I'm normally like fourth or fifth, so I think if Nehemiah and Melinda would have won, I probably would have bumped up too because they were both on my fantasy team. But yeah, very happy. Yeah. It was only like $76, but
yeah,
W's a W.
We'll have our
that's
money draft, and then we'll have our For the Fans draft. So that will be coming once we get a cash drop.
Anthony,
anything happening you want to plug? Anything?
Not too much. I always plug the Facebook page. The challenge fans. We are always there, and that's where you can catch me most of the time interacting with a lot of other fans. And we do have an offshoot page that is meetups with. I think we changed the name a little while ago, or it's been a while now, so I always get it confused. But I think it's Meetups Challenge Community, and so that's where you can get a lot of information about where we're going to have link ups of a couple of people, or if there's like a Challenge Mania coming up, or another appearance that a lot of people plan to go to. Because we know a lot of people that have gone, including myself, that have gone to their first Challenge Mania by themselves, or they're not sure if they want to go, and so we have that group as well where people can talk less about the show and more about like real life and getting together and meeting fellow fans. Because a lot of people do watch it alone and don't have a lot of friends at home that enjoy it as much as we all do on the online community. So other than that, though, no, I don't. It's like you guys said, it's kind of a little bit of an off season right now, so the water's going to be quiet for a couple weeks. And
I'm so excited. There for a while, we were doing so much reality TV. Like, just watching it all was hard to accomplish. And I don't know if I could do that. I'm getting ready to move to Little Rock, Arkansas, so that's exciting news in my personal life. So I'm glad it's the slow time. But if you're a fan of reality games and you guys want to play, there's a couple live games that are actually open casting right now. If you want to experience like the challenge vibes, and Jackie Production, Mayhem Manor, lessons learned is the theme. Me and Anthony played last year. Amazing game, ran by amazing people. Dr. Stan's calling me. Sorry, let me decline that. And then if you're into the Survivor thing, Survival Challenge has also got open casting right now, and it is a really well done game. Those challenges are like the real deal, so check those both out if you guys are interested. And we will be having a game night scheduled soon. As soon as we look at our schedules and make sure I won't be like in the middle of moving. So yeah.
You're in a U-Haul trying to host.
Yeah. I've done it in the car before. We've had game nights where I was in the car traveling, but it really wasn't as much fun as it could be. But definitely join us there, and be sure to like and subscribe so you see when we're going to go live in the future. See you guys later.
Bye.